guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Peace Jones. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to hit that subscribe button. All right, so I'm back again with another video. This one is for my healing segment, okay? Heal with me. So as you guys know, when I first made my channel, if you actually read the description of this actual YouTube channel, it mentions that I want all of us to grow and heal together. I also do a few hauls like Trader Joe's and things like that. Healthy eating, healthy living, natural hair products, natural skincare regimens, and then also, of course, travel. And I have a relationship segment called the Dating Chronicles, and then healing, right? So I've made a few videos about healing. One of them is how to heal without therapy. One of them is like finding your purpose and working in it, things like that. But I really need to get back to that segment because I feel like I kind of neglected it. And honestly, we need that more than ever, not just right now with everything that's going on in the world, but always, right? We need it to grow into the best us, because truly when we don't take the time to heal, it affects all of our relationships. It affects our parenting skills, it affects our friendships, it affects our romantic relationships, even how you cope like day to day, right? So we really do want to work on that, okay? So one of my very first little story times for this segment is going to be about why I actually stopped going to church, okay? So, you guys, grab your drinks. Tonight, I just have water. I'm thirsty. And I'm in my little bathrobe, so don't mind me. But anyway, story time of why I actually stopped going to church, okay? So, I was raised in the church. Episcopalian is the what? Denomination? Yeah, I think that's it. Was the denomination that my grandmother was. My grandmother raised me. So she had my brother and I in church pretty much every Sunday. We weren't like that go hard family that was like, oh, we gotta be at Bible study. We gotta go on Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Like, no. But we were very involved. Like I said, every single Sunday, as much as we could, we would go. She also had us involved in like the activities like Sunday school, acolyting, reading in church, and then even like they had different activities, like we had a garden at one point for all the youth and just things like that we were involved in, right? And so of course, you know, when you grow up in church, I think that a lot of Black families, like the Black community, the children don't really understand for a while why they're going to church, right? So like you're listening to your parents, you're listening to the pastor, you're singing the songs, but I don't think as a kid a lot of us really understand and grasp like what's going on, what is the preacher talking about, why am I here, you know, really developing your faith and things like that. And maybe some of us do. I just know that I didn't. I know I was going because my grandmother told me to. I know I was finding fun things to do and mischievous things to do when I was there, such as leaving and going to 7-Eleven, such as busting out laughing in the middle of the service with one of my friends. Just like really crazy things, just because sometimes I would get bored being there for so long, right? And like I said, in my mind at such a young age, like I wasn't really like tapped into it, like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling this way, let me pray about this is how God works, this is what faith is, right? So I was just kind of there taking up space. And so it wasn't until like high school where I kind of really started to like think deeper into it, right? And so I would always hear people at church saying like, oh, forgive and be a good person and have good intentions and like, you know, just praying all these good, holy things over people and trying to live a better life and asking God to make you a better person and blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, this is clearly for you to let go of your sins, become a better you, ask God for forgiveness in everything you do, go into things with a pure heart, blah, blah, blah. So I try and piece it together, but then I would see like so many people from the church just do such nasty, evil things, right? From the way they would talk about each other to the way that they would even act sometimes in and out of church, to even things that I witnessed, like how my grandmother and like her friends would gossip. Like, I just was like, this is not adding up to me, right? And not to say that like anyone's perfect, but it just wasn't adding up. I'm like, how do we go to church every Sunday, sitting there for hours, talk about how good we're trying to be, and then you come right out of church and you're literally just like wilding out? Like, that just didn't make sense to me. And I'm like a very realistic person. Like, I'm the type of person that's like, it is what it is. Like, if you show me what it is, that's what it is, right? I don't really sugarcoat things. I don't make up things in my head. I don't try to make things make sense that don't. I'm not delusional. I don't live in a fantasy world. So a lot of times when I would see these acts and these characteristics and these like mentalities show themselves right after, or even right in the presence of, you know, the Lord in church, I would be confused, because I'm like, didn't we just say that we were trying to be this way or whatever, right? So I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm taking it all in. I'm starting to try to like figure things out for myself, right? And so I had like a really chaotic point in time during my adolescent years, right? And probably not going to go too deep into that, but as most teens and adolescents do, have issues growing up, right? Like, not anything super severe, like I was, you know, lashing out or getting in trouble at school, but just like growing pains, right? Like, you're not getting along with your parents, you are rebelling, you are like figuring yourself out, you're trying to navigate from childhood to adulthood, you're moody, blah, blah, blah. So that was me, typical adolescent, right? And so I just would be over church sometimes. Like I said, like once I started to put two and two together, I started to peep like it wasn't really adding up, how, you know, the pastor would preach this stuff and then the people would pretend to be one way and then the next second they would be like wilding out. And I just would be like over it. I'd be like, when can I go home and do what I want to do, right? And like I said, on top of that, having my little adolescent issues, you know, beefing with my grandmother and stuff like that. So I remember, like I said, coming to church, just being over it. I guess you could see it all in my face. I mean, I am that type of person. When I'm not feeling something or someone, you can see it on my face. So I had walked downstairs and we used to have this thing called repast, which was like you would just eat food. Like everyone would just come together and eat food after the church service was over. So for whatever reason, I guess I didn't want repast that day. So I sat on the chairs like outside of the little reception hall. And to me, I didn't feel like my face looked screwed up or like angry, but I guess it did, right? So I'm just sitting out there chilling. I'm like literally on my phone minding my business. And mind you, at this time, like the whatever I had going on with my little rebellious stage, like my grandmother was always venting to people at church about it, which I thought was not smart, because like I don't think you should bring family issues to other people that really like have no say in it. But yeah, she was always like venting to them about it and telling them like, oh, like she's doing this or she's this and da da da. So at that point, like a lot of the church members already thought that I was like this terrible rebellious teenager, even though I was like an angel compared to everyone around me and probably their children. But whatever. So yeah, a lot of them already had like this negative mindset about me or whatever, right? And so this guy, he came down the stairs or whatever while I was sitting in the chair, and he's like, you always look so angry. Fix your face. Put a smile on. Like, literally just like that. Like, just disgusted, trying to be loud, trying to basically, like, make a scene. Never asked me, was I okay? Never inquired about maybe what was going on, how was I feeling, why do I always have this angry look on my face, how's my day going? Nothing. Just straight up, you always look so angry. Mind you, this man was like, had to been in his 70s, maybe 80s. And I'm just thinking, like, what would possess this older man to come down here and basically pick on a teenager that he has no clue what she's going through, no clue what she's dealing with, no clue where her head is at right now. Mind you, you're supposed to be older and wiser. You clearly know how teenagers act and what they go through. You have children of your own, so you definitely know. And you're supposed to be this like great Christian that's so loving and nurturing and caring and helpful and considerate and empathetic and, help your brother and sister out. You literally just walked downstairs from a church service and this is how you greet me. And I just thought that was so inappropriate, number one, because like you're not even my peer and you're considerably older than me. And for you to address me like that, I just thought that was kind of like inappropriate. And then I also thought it was super nasty and like triggering, because who are you to just assume that you are entitled to like comment on how someone else is feeling? Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. Like, if I see someone down, even like a stranger, like if I'm walking down the street and I see someone down, like just crying, sitting on the curb, the last thing I'm going to think to do is tell them to fix their face. Or the last thing I'm going to think to do is like scold them for being down or being upset, because I have no idea what they're going through. I mean, literally, like, who am I to pass judgment and literally yell at someone and put someone down and belittle someone for having a certain demeanor or look or whatever that they're expressing at that particular time? Like, I almost was shocked, because I was like, what? Like, and then it's like, what do you think I'm going to do? Just crack a smile now that you've yelled at me for looking like this? Like, no. So literally, after that day, I said, I'm never coming back here, because it didn't make sense to me how people come to this place, they worship, they pay tithes, whatever they are. And, they spend a lot of money fixing these places up. They have these different feasts and different events, and there's supposed to be like so much love, and it's supposed to be so family oriented and welcoming, and people are supposed to be there for each other, and like I said, not pass judgment, and we're brother and sister, and just all of this happy, holy, jolly things. And yet, when you really see someone who's in need, or you really see someone or you really have the opportunity to be Christ-like, or to share a hug, or to allow someone to vent, like, that's the last thing you choose to do, right? And so I've never been a dumb child. Like, I've always been wise beyond my years, and I just was like, I don't think this is the place for me. I don't think that I can continue to come here just to make my grandmother happy when it's not fulfilling me. I don't feel that I'm in a welcoming environment. I don't feel that this church brings me happiness when I come here. It doesn't bring me healing. The people are all of their like auras were kind of off to me. A lot of people just seemed fake. Like, it was just really not my cup of tea. And I got tired of faking it. I got tired of like doing it just because she wanted me to. It was just like wasting hours of my life every Sunday, and I wasn't getting anything out of it. Like, I wasn't being fulfilled at all. And on top of that, I wasn't even really praying. I didn't even know how to pray. I didn't know what to pray for. I didn't really have a great relationship with God. Even going to church every Sunday. So I'm like, hold up. Scratch that. I need to figure out who God is. I need to figure out who he is in my life. I need to figure out his place in my life. I need to learn how to pray. I need to build my own relationship with him. I need to develop trust and faith. And I can't do that in here. Like, not with all this bad energy. So from that day forward, I never went back. My grandmother was like upset with me about it. She would always make little slick comments. Even at one point, I think a lot of people from the church like disowned me. Like, they felt some type of way about me not coming back. So they would do petty things like give my brother gifts but not me, or like give my friend that went to church with me gifts but not me. And then a few times, like, I heard through the grapevine, like, multiple people were like, come back to church, like, God always cares about you, blah, blah, blah. Like, basically making it seem like I had, like, went off the deep end, or I didn't love God because I didn't go to church. And it's never been anything like that. Like, God is my truest, most special guardian. Like, that's my father for real. And he's blessed me so much in this lifetime and beyond. And that's like really my ride or die. Like, I have a great relationship with God, a great bond with God. I'm very appreciative, very grateful, very thankful. He's literally worked miracles in my life as he continues to do so. But I had to develop my own relationship with him outside of church. I couldn't come to church and pretend. I couldn't come to church and pray and fake this and that, and the whole time I didn't even know who God was. So I chose to go on my own journey. Like I said, became very close to him, still am very close to him, have never been back to that church. At some point, I think that I did visit like maybe 2 churches since then. And like I said, that was when I was 18. So it's been 10 years. But I've never been consistently back to a church. I don't have any desire to do so. In that time frame, the 2 churches that I did visit still did not have the desire to go consistently. And I just don't feel like you need to go to church consistently or even at all just to believe in God. Like, I know that might sound really bad to some people, but it's just a choice that, and a mindset and decision that I personally have adopted. That doesn't mean it works for everyone. I'm not trying to tell you guys to do that. I'm not telling you to leave your church if that's what you like. But I think that I've been the closest I've ever been with God outside of a church, right? And it's very genuine. It's not being, faked for others. It's not me putting on this front as if I'm perfect in front of others and then being like this dirt bag outside of church. You know what I mean? Now, of course I'm not perfect. Of course I still sin. Everyone does, right? But I really do try and be the best person that I can. I really do try and live my life as if God is always watching me. I don't do things out of spite. I try not to do things out of anger. And I do really just trust in God to always, guide me and watch over me and work his magic in my life. So yeah, you guys, that's the end of my little story time. The purpose of this video in healing is that I know a lot of families, like I said, especially in the Black community, are like very, very, very overly churchy, overly like religious, and sometimes they can use that against you. I've seen in many cases where like families have disowned children because they won't go to church, or because they got married I don't know, like outside of the church, or they had a kid out of wedlock, or they married someone that the parents or the church didn't approve of, or they got tattoos or just whatever it is, like just like overly religious, overbearing, you know, mindsets that these people have, and they just like punish their children if they don't do exactly what they're supposed to do. And yeah, I just think a lot goes on in the church, and a lot goes on with like very religious people and families, and sometimes it can really hurt the children and create circumstances and situations in which the children have to then heal from. So, coming from me, if you have experienced anything like that, luckily my experience wasn't very traumatizing or very serious, but I know some people's are a lot more traumatizing and serious. And I just want you to know that, like, you don't have to remain in a toxic environment. And it's crazy to say that, like, what? Church can be toxic, but it can be. Religious people, families, churches, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have good intentions, and sometimes they can belittle you and put you down and almost brainwash you into thinking that, like, if you aren't this perfect person and you don't do these things by the book, then you're not worthy. And for the people that have experienced that, or they are experiencing that, I just want you to know that there is a brighter side to God. You can step away and develop your own relationship, and don't feel bad about doing it. You know, like, we have one life to live. This is our life ultimately. And despite what our parents may force upon us or may want us to do, sometimes it's just not aligned with our spirit and our life and where we're going. So sometimes you have to be headstrong and independent enough to do what is going to feed your soul. So yeah, you guys, comment below. Let me know what you think. Have you experienced anything similar? Do you guys go to church? Do you not go to church? Let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.